All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquath that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Mwan back at you with another lesson. I'm going into the title, Breaking News, Watchman Updates, City Shutdowns, the West Wind. All right. And going into that title, the West Wind. All right. The reason I bring that out, because everything is spiritual through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? So the video I'm about to play is talking about how the city of Susan, right, California, I believe is in Northern California, all right, has been shut down. No water, right? They're talking about, you don't even have to pay your bills right now. They're even saying, what was the one thing they were saying? Oh, there's no 911, right? There's no 911 to call, none of that. All right. So I looked up what the word Susan means, right? And the word Susan, right? Give me 1 second. Susan goes into where the west wind blows, or simply west wind, right? It's a Native American tribe of the Winton Nation who originally lived, all right, in the region of Northern California, right? So it's all spiritual when you hear these things, right? Because what is in the scriptures, what is the destruction considered as? It's considered as the wind, right? As a matter of fact, to prove that, Isaiah 32, right? Give me 1 second. So basically, they got hit with a cyber attack, which we keep telling you, man, these devils are going to keep coming with these cyber attacks, and it's really being orchestrated by your elites, man. All right, they're over here blaming it on Iran, just like I said they would, right? Because everything's going to be blamed on Iran right now, right? But we know that your own government is the one that's making these things happen, okay? But they're claiming that a whole entire hack into the system, all right, is what's happening. So this is Isaiah 32:1. It says, behold, the king shall reign in front in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as in hiding place from the wind, you see, a cover from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land, you see. So that wind represents the time of destruction, okay? And Salaki, we keep hearing like a little fan going on and off. That's my charger. Let me grab this. This is give me 1 second. This is Jeremiah 51:1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind, you see. And this is talking about the thermonuclear missiles, all right, which is going to be the ultimate destruction, the ultimate destroying wind, all right. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about, all right. But the point is to show you that the wind represents destruction, you see. So the fact that when I heard about this, right, the first thing I thought was like, all right, let me see if Esau bullshitting, because Esau likes to play around with a lot of numerology. Esau likes to play around with words. All right, all these words, names, they be meaning something. They be representing a lot of things through the spirit. You see, hey, shalom, brother. So when I looked up the city of Susan, Northern California, right, that's exactly what came up. All right, that let's read it again. It says, what does Susan mean? It says, The word Susan comes from the language of local indigenous Patwin Winton people. It means west wind, where the west wind blow, or where the west wind blows. You see, so it's all spiritual, man. Because hey, what's the destroying wind going to destroy the most? The west, Babylon the Great, right? So when I seen that, you know, through the spirit, if you're reading it right, man, that's letting you know that it's pretty much about to be time for that destruction, man. You see, and they're about to really seriously start cutting lights out left and right. You know, continually blaming it on Iran. You know, state to state, they're gonna start just shutting down, you know, places and you know, continually using the cyber attacks as the way for them to inch in with their, you know, agenda. Okay, so let's hear what he got to say. Right, I play about, I want to say like maybe 8 minutes of it. I'll play because it's a 27-minute video. All right, and it comes from second, hold on. It comes from Steve Rams, which he always brings out some pretty good videos.
Dude, guess how much it cost me to make sure my family gets $1 million?
In 1 second, hold on.
You'll never get.
Yeah. So listen to this.
Developing news coming out that one city in California is currently in a state of emergency as the FBI is investigating an entire city shutdown. We're hearing, they're even saying right now, if you don't have to pay your bills in the city because right now nothing is operating. 911 cannot be reached. Systems have been shut down. The city is in a state of emergency. And like I said, FBI, DHS, CIA,
so what does that mean, man? That right now it's pretty much free game to do whatever you want out there in Northern California. The whole entire, I mean, well, that town, that is that city, right, is shut down. No 911 calls, right? Which that's, you know, that's something that we always talk about, man. It's going to be all lawlessness out here, man. At one point where you're not going to be able to reach 911. You're not going to be able to call ambulances for help, fire trucks, you know, all these things are going to be shut down. These people are going to be gone. All right. So if they really want to push a purge-like scenario out there right now, they definitely could. All right. Because things are shut down, right? They have no water. The water system is hacked right now. All right, so who knows what's going on with the water? Okay. They said, what else did they say? He says, hold on.
Investigating yet another cyber attack that has taken place on U.S. soil. Now, this comes as we're also hearing about more cyber attacks littering the United States. We're hearing that ports are being hit in addition to what we've been hearing about water systems. And again, we do not have the identity of who is behind these, but there's a lot of speculation that this is Iran. Let me know your thoughts, and let's go ahead and take a look at the latest headlines so that way you can see it for yourself. Coming out in the last 24 hours, chaos in Susan City declares state of emergency after hackers crippled 911 systems. Susan City declares a state of emergency after cyber attack.
So he's saying that there's more updates on other states that are being hit with cyber attacks, right? So this is one that has shut down. So they're claiming that there's other states that are going to be that are being hit with cyber attacks, and that's how it's gonna happen, man. From one day to another, man, this place might just get cyber attacked, right? Hit, all right, and lights get cut off, and they might not come on for quite some time. You see, this is why we have to be prepared, all right, through the spirit, all right, for all things. That's why the scripture says, as a matter of fact, let me grab that. Be not ignorant, right? Be not ignorant. Ecclesiastes 5:15, and it reads, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small, right? Can't be, even the smallest things, you got to take heed to it, man, through the spirit. You got to read it through the spirit, okay? From the smallest to the biggest, right? As a matter of fact, let's grab this precept that pops up in my mind. Proverbs 27:1. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Yeah, so you don't know what tomorrow could bring at the end of the day, man. We can all wake up tomorrow and this place is completely shut down. Banks done got shut down. Their bank accounts is wiped out, right? Complete water systems are gone, right? No more food coming in, right? These devils could, if it is Iran that's making moves, they could do something where it completely hurts America, all right? Which, that's definitely going to happen at one point, all right? Because the scriptures speak on how, they're going to waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, right? Which is America, right? But, right now, the way this devil's moving, he's doing a lot of just the blame game and deceiving a lot of people because he wants to deceive a lot of people so they can join this war, so they can join this military draft, all of that, man. So they're out here blaming Iran for everything, you see, making you hate Iran, basically. Okay, when Iran is pretty much whooping their ass and don't need to do any of that shit, you see. But like I said, if they are doing hacks and they are making moves also on United States, well, this is why you have to be prepared through the spirit for anything to happen. All right, so let's go back.
Systems. Susan City declares a state of emergency after cyber attacks. The North Bay city says a malicious software infected its systems on Friday morning, impacting public safety and other city services as well. Now, as I mentioned, this comes as, take a look at the last 48 hours. We've also been hearing North Carolina ports. They have confirmed cyber attacks are disrupting their operations. We're seeing a variety of cyber attacks hitting across the United States. And this comes as I've been sharing with you the updates on U.S. water systems in 12 states targeted in a wave of cyber attacks. And again, not
so 12 states have been attacked. All right, 12 states have been attacked at their water stations, man. All right, let me see what exactly happens. What exactly happens to water stations if we are cyber attacked? I'm curious.
In a cyber attack, water stations face issues like hackers changing passwords or IP addresses on control systems, leading to potential pressure drops or shutdowns. While there might be temporary disruptions, water quality and safety are usually maintained as staff can quickly switch to manual operations.
Okay. So again, it says, just in case you couldn't hear it, let me read it again. It says, during a cyber attack on water stations, hackers typically target internet, exposed industrial computers, known as programmable logic controllers, right? PLCs, that regulate pumps and valves. Hackers change device passwords or IP address, locking out remote operators. Yeah, so they can lock out your whole system of water. They have control of it, right? They're able to regulate pumps and valves, man. Shut things off, shut them off and turn them back on whenever they feel like it, right? It says this can cause a loss of remote monitoring, sudden pressure drops, localized flooding, or forced manual shutdowns. However, drinking water quality and safety are rarely impacted because staff quickly disconnect systems and switch to manual operations, all right? But it's just saying that it rarely happens, right? But it can happen. So it can happen to the point where your drinking quality, right? The water safety, also gets hacked into, right? Making it not safe to drink your waters, whatever. You see? It says direct operational impacts. It says loss of remote control. Operators lose digital visibility and cannot manage distant wells, water towers, or pump stations from their offices. Right? Pressure changes, manipulated valves can cause sudden drops or spikes in water mains, occasionally triggering precautionary boil water advisories, man. Yeah. So they might start telling you can't use your water. It's not safe. And we know Esau known for lying, right? He's going to tell you to boil water, all this bullshit, right? Equipment shutdowns, right? It says utilities often shut down compromised digital controls entirely to prevent physical damage, causing temporary local outages. Yeah. So, and one of the main things, like I said in the beginning, that it pretty much destroys the internet, because remember, right now, supposedly all this water is being used for, for the internet, for the chat, right? Which, there's other videos that are going out saying that all the water systems that are being used for these data centers and things like that, that they're really being used for these underground bunkers, and they're finding ways to bring the water down to the underground bunkers and have a certain type of water flow in these underground bunkers and things like that. Because remember, they got a whole city underneath us, man. They got cities underneath us that you don't even fucking know about. All right, I've seen this crazy ass video where you could get from the United States to Brazil in like 2 hours, man, through underground shit that they have. You know, who the hell knows what they got invented down there? All right, only the elites know about these things because they, you know, are preparing themselves, all right, for what's about to come. Okay, the destruction. We ain't got no part of that. We ain't gonna be allowed down there. You see, but hold on. Going back, it says government support, right? My bad. Hold on. Going too far. Equipment shutdowns. There you go. Equipment shutdowns. It says utilities often shut down compromised digital controls entirely to prevent physical damage, causing temporary local outages. Yeah. You know, a lot of places are going to be getting their lights cut off, man, and they're going to blame it on this. You see? And that's a scary time. When the lights go out, forget about it, man. You know, evil comes out, man. Darkness comes out. You see, it gives the wicked the upper hand to do what they feel like it when them lights are cut off, right? It says, as a matter of fact, the scriptures talk about how the earth's going to be covered with the darkness, gross darkness, the people, man. So gross darkness really goes into, you know, the ignorance of people, man. Okay, so you're going to see some ignorant things out here. You're going to see people act a certain manner when them lights get cut off, right? It says, chemical disruption fears. It says, while rarely achieved, theoretical risks include tampering with disinfectant and treatment chemical dosing levels. Yeah, so look at that. They're able to mess around, tamper with the disinfectant and treatment chemical dosing levels to the water. You see? Yeah, especially an EMP attack. Yeah, because cyber attack is pretty much going into them cutting off your internet, the resources that they need, but it could cut off power also. But EMP is really what's going to cut out the power. You know, it's going to pretty much fry all the circuit boards in its radius. You know, how depending how far that EMP could go. All right, it'll pretty much basically with a cyber attack, it could be brought back. Your systems could be turned back on, your lights could be turned back on, but an EMP won't allow you to do that because an EMP is going to completely fry the circuit boards. So you don't want the EMP to smack you. You would rather a cyber attack to hit you than the EMP. All right, because game over for the EMP. All right, so it says how facilities respond. It says manual takeover. Workers travel directly to physical sites to turn valves and read gauges by hand. Network isolation. Technicians disconnect affected hardware from the internet and cellular links to purge malware and reconfigure access controls. Government support. Agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency issue urgent alerts. All right, and that's pretty much what they're trying to do right now. They're urging, they're bringing out these urgent alerts onto the people. Well, hey, everything's not working. You ain't got to pay your bills. You know, keep your water to a minimal. All right, prepare for anything to happen. Letting you know that there's no 911 calls. All right, so that's and that's really the worst thing you can actually do. All right, because now you got people growing fucking minds and shit. People start growing thoughts. All right, evil thoughts at that, because our people, this place is full of wickedness. So everybody's minds are continual evil at the end of the day. All right, but it says agencies, Salakia, issue urgent alerts, advisories, and technical fixes to secure vulnerable industrial devices. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to read. That was the end of that. But there's one that says FBI government. Let me see what this shit says right here. It says FBI government malicious cyber actors targeting water and wastewater Why are they calling them cyber actors? Malicious cyber actors targeting water and wastewater sector internet, facing programmable logic controllers, causing operational disruptions. The FBI and Environmental Protection Agency are issuing the public service announcement to warn critical infrastructure asset owners and operators that malicious cyber actors are conducting cyber attacks targeting operational technology devices, including Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley programmable logic controllers, specifically MicroLogic's 1100 and 1400 series. Since 27th of July 2026, water and waste sector utility companies in at least 7 states have been reported incidents to the FBI, and some of that activity degraded water operations, while the FBI has only observed his behavior with the reference to Rockwell PLCs. Similar considerations should also be made with other branded PLCs. All right. Threat landscape. It says MCAs. It says are targeting internet exposed PLCs, Rockwell Automation. Same things being reiterated real quick. Tampering with the devices. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing that we just read in that other article. All right. Yeah, it's just the FBI basically saying the same shit. All right. So, hey, man, at the end of the day, all right, this shit is going down. Let's hear some more of it.
Not full confirmation yet on who is behind these attacks, but Iran likely behind the cyber attacks on the U.S. water systems. Sources say malicious cyber actors have attacked municipal water systems in at least 7 states. It has now gone up to 12. We've received confirmation on some of these states, and those include Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Georgia, California, New Jersey, Oregon. These are just some of the states that have come out and announced, yes, we are the ones that have been hit. And also, we've heard warnings directly from the IRGC regarding our power grids in the United States. They've warned Donald Trump that if you conduct a massive attack against the energy in Iran, we will hit not only U.S. military bases in the region, but we'll also come after the homeland. And I also shared with you in the last roughly 48, 72 hours, we also heard Iran in an announcement Friday. They had said that they're also planning to develop missiles that can reach all the way across the world and hit U.S. soil. They said that this is something that they would like to do because it's time for Americans to feel what it's like to be hit with missiles on U.S. soil. Wow.
You see, and that's heavy right there, because that goes back to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, right? That they're going to remember their nature, going into, the dragons of Arabia, going into the Carmenians, which is the Iranians, right? The modern day Persians, you see? So they want to hit America so bad, okay? And it's all biblical prophecy, man. This is why these things are happening, because it's the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, it's the spirit of prophecy that's playing out. You see, this is why they're going to know that a prophet have been among them in these last days, man. Brother put, hey, Shalom, brother. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Lights out, devil. He put, I asked Google, how could a cyber attack back up the sewer lines in these big cities? Let me see what that says. Oh, there you go. He got the answer right there. It says a cyber attack could back up municipal sewer lines by targeting the internet connected computers and programmable logic controllers, PLCs, just like we was reading, that automatically manage wastewater lift stations. Look at that. You see? By the control system. Yeah. Yeah. You see? So they're doing it on purpose, man, at the end of the day. All right. Because they know exactly what is going to be the outcome of it. Okay. Like I said, Iran could definitely be doing these cyber attacks also, because, hey, we're in war. We're in the midst of war. So it's free game. Anything goes down in the midst of war, man. All right. I just feel like a lot of it's also being more orchestrated by the elites here in Babylon the Great. all right, to push their agenda more than anything and just blame Iran for everything, man. Because here it is, you're talking about America that's supposed to have one of the greatest defense systems in the world, right? And you mean to tell me that these nations are easily hacking into your systems that quick, that easy? And you're supposed to be this top dog in all this damn type of defense systems, you know? You're supposed to be the top dog in all these different types of encryption codes and all of that. And you mean to tell me they just hacking into your shit like nothing, right? You see? But that's why we have an eye on this damn devil. That's why the scriptures say, right, that it's let me grab that. The word of Yahweh is sharper than any two-edged sword, right? Piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, right? And it's a discerner of the thoughts, right? And the intents of the heart. So we know what this devil's up to, right? We're not ignorant to Satan's devices, as the scriptures say, man, to his evil schemes, his evil plots, all right? Because at the end of the day, there's only one agenda they're trying to push more than anything, is the New World Order. So just like how we always tell you, all things lead back to the RFID, lead back to the MOTB, all roads lead to the MOTB. Well, all these things that are happening is leading to the NWO at the same time, because that's pretty much what the MOTB is, this NWO that they're about to push upon us. You see? So all these things that are happening around the world, right, whether it be global economies being brought down, right, infrastructures being brought down, war, okay, starvation and dehydration, right, all these cyber attacks, it's all for one thing, all right, to usher in this new world order, all right. And you have all these elites, all right. It ain't just America's elites, all right. You have the elites of these other nations. They have their own Illuminati's, basically their own. It's just that Esau's the top one that's ruling everything, that's running everything, right? But these other nations have their own Illuminati's that are in cahoots with it, man. Because when you read the 83rd chapter of Psalms, it talks about how all these nations conspire against us together, man. So how is it that we are in war, right? But at the same time, they're going to sit here and conspire together against us, you know? So that means that they're in cahoots with each other. You see, it's just that, hey, the Lord is going to put, the Lord will just change their minds at any given moment, you know? That's why the scriptures talk about how in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, that it shall go into Russia's mind, right? That he shall have that it shall come into his mind, right? Let's grab that real quick. Ezekiel 38. And then he shall think an evil thought, right? Why? Because the Lord is putting the evil thought in him, right? Let me just get straight to that point, right? And it says, this is 38 and 10. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Yeah. Why? Because the Lord is what sends those things to your mind. All right. And this is talking about in the time of them going to, you know, shoot them thermonuclear missiles. But the point, what I'm using is that the Lord sends evil thoughts upon people. So they could be cool one day together, conspiring together against us. And then the next day, the Lord puts the evil thoughts against each other, you know, to turn against each other, you know. So, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, man, the elites are on top of all this shit that's going on right now. All right. And like we say all the time, all wars are bankers' wars. So, you know, we know that the head honchos that rule everything, right, are the ones that are running the show behind closed doors. All right. Behind the curtains. All right. Everybody else is just pretty much following. All right. So let's go back to what he was saying.
Like to be hit with missiles on U.S. soil. Wow. So I'm going to get you caught up on the latest. And as you guys know, here on the channel, I cite all the sources. So if you'd like to read any of these articles for yourself on the attacks on security systems, water systems, power grids, ports, They're all going to be hyperlinked in the description. I cite all of the sources like a book report, linked down below with hyperlinks so you can click them, read them for yourself, see the dates, the sources, know and rest assured this is the latest information. Try to have the highest level of transparency and accountability here on the channel so that way you can know this is the latest information. And today it is August 9th, 2026. It's currently 6:04 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Houston, Texas. Now, if you appreciate that, do me a favor before we dive into the details. Take a second, hit that thumbs up like button for me. Helps out the channel a ton. I see we got almost about 3,000 people live with me in the room. So if we get that like button up to about 1,500, at least half the room, it helps out a ton while we're live here on YouTube. In addition to that, if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, it is totally free. Why not hit that subscribe button? Pretty much doing daily updates on all the news that you need to know. And I see a lot of people in the analytics hop on regularly, but they've not hit the subscribe button. Why not? When you do so, it helps out the channel. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the articles. We've got a lot of updates. I'm going to be sharing with you the latest coming out as we're hearing Tucson City in California has been hit, and we're hearing that they are trying to investigate what's going on, how this took place. They're even saying right now, any city bills, you cannot pay it. They're not going to charge you late fees. They shut down your ability to pay your bills in Tucson City.
And that shit is a trap. So if anybody was in Tucson City, don't fall for that shit. I mean, they saying you can't pay bills because there's no systems working, but ain't no such thing as you ain't never paying Uncle Sam, man. All right, Uncle Sam will tell you some bullshit. Next thing you know, you in some heavy ass debt. You know, it's almost like when they was out here giving what was that shit called under Biden's rule? They were giving them stimmy checks and shit, and people was just biting on that shit all day long, man, and acting like they ain't had to pay that shit back. Next thing you know, they was all in debt. You know, they had to pay all this damn money back, man. So don't ever fall for no shit like that when they tell you can't pay bills. You know, save your money and hold it for when it is time for you to be able to pay it. Your ass got that shit, because that's just a way to suck you in, you know. And you know, people, because things are going crazy out, because things are going crazy out there, and stores are probably shut down and shit like that. People probably going crazy right now. So they're trying to buy what they can. All right. But hey, see, that's why we have the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah working with us. All right. Because we're not going to fall into, you know, spirits of fear and things like that, man. Like, it is what it is. If that's why we've been preparing early, you know, getting ourselves, you know, not being no doomsday preppers, but being able to have a little bit of food, you know, stored up, you know, water stored up for situations like that, man. Because if something goes down where you can't get to the store, at least you want to be able to have something in your house, man, already. You know, like I said, we ain't doomsday preppers because we going to stock up on faith more than anything, right? But it is a smart thing to prepare yourself for the times that we're in, all right? There's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, all right?
The latest, though, so that way you can see it for yourself. 1 second here, pull this on the screen. There you go. Tucson City declares a state of emergency after a cyber attack has hit. Now, the North Bay City says a malicious software infected its systems on Friday morning, impacting public safety and other city services as well. Now, Tucson City has shut down its computer networks and declared a state of emergency after a cyber security attack impacted services like police and fire dispatch in the community. So this is not just 911. We're hearing all city services, their entire systems have been impacted by this attack, shutting down all city services. The city
so imagine, all right, I don't know how crazy this place is. I don't know how's the population there. How's the crime rate? Let me ask, as a matter of fact, real quick. What's the crime rate in Tucson City, Northern California?
Tucson City in Northern California has a total crime rate of about 18 to 26 crimes per 1,000 residents. The violent crime rate is around 389 per 100,000 people, and property crime is near 1,470 per 100,000 residents.
So violent crime includes roughly 39 violent crimes per 10,000 residents. I mean, that's not too bad, all right? There's other places that are worse than that. But imagine this was a place like New York City, right? Imagine this was a place like, you know, Florida, Chicago, okay? You know, imagine a place, you know, you know, more in the heart of California, where all the gang life is. You know what I'm saying? Man, 911 is not working. Forget about it. That's stores being looted. You know what I'm saying? Houses being broken into. Okay. You know, you already know that the murder rates are gonna go up. Okay, a lot of gang activity. All right, these women gonna be in hella trouble. All right, when the lights get cut off and all these, you know, cyber attacks hit, you know, it's just open game for a lot of shit. All right, so imagine if this was one of these, which eventually it will hit these major cities, okay, where crime rate is at its all-time high. All right, because remember the scriptures say, because iniquity abound, the love of many is waxing cold. So people out here just doing the most out here, man. And you see people doing some weirdo crimes out here, man. And you know, shit that don't even make sense. I'd be like, what the hell going on, boy? Them demons is active in these people, man. But crime rate is not as bad out there. I'm not saying there is no crime rate. There is crime rate going on out there. So it might, you know, it might accumulate. It might intensify a little bit out there, you know, depending how shit goes down out there. You see? So that's a scary thing. Okay?
Were infected information technology systems around 5:45 a.m. on Friday morning. The attack hit critical public safety operations, including 911 routing, police and fire dispatch, records, and city services, according to a statement.
So now that I'm thinking about that, fire, all right? The Lord talks about how fire, let me grab that real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 39 and 29, and it says, I'll take it from 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of the destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance, you see. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to the destruction, you see. So not having no fire trucks out there, shit, you know how many houses with all these wildfires that are happening around the world, right? All this direct energy weapon shit that they're using to cause fires, right? If something gets burnt out there, all right, well, it's pretty much game over, because there ain't gonna be no damn fire trucks on scene. So see, people gonna end up, you know, being punished to the destruction just through fire alone. You see? These are things, again, these are things that we have to be mindful of, man, being in this truth, all right? Considering the ways of the Heavenly Father, man, because the Lord will burn your ass alive out here if he really wants to, you see? So those type of people out there in Susan, all right, I believe that's how you say it, right? They were saying in a certain way, all right? But those people out there, man, they better hope they don't have no fires happening, okay? Let's go back. And I'll pretty much start closing out, because I ain't going to play it's a 27-minute video. Said I was going to play about like 8 minutes of it.
On the city's website, Suisun City Police dispatchers begin taking calls through the Solano County Dispatch Center, and officials activated its emergency operation centers. From a public safety standpoint, there's no threat to the public at this time, said Michael Elm with the Suisun City Public Information Office. Now, for a resident experiencing daily life in Suisun City, there really isn't anything going to be of any impact to them other than maybe not being able to pay their water bills or process permits at the current moment. Now, the city said that it should.
I ain't even gonna play the rest of it, because he's saying basically that they're not gonna be into too much trouble. All right, but like I said earlier in the beginning, if you missed it, Susan goes into basically the word Susan means a west wind, or the wind that blows from the west. You see, and like I said, man, this truth talks about how this place is going to be destroyed with a destroying wind, right? The scriptures talk about how a man of the Lord is going to be able to hide. It's going to be the hiding place for a woman, all right, from the wind, all right, which is the wind that's going to destroy the nukes, right? The martial law troops, when they come in, sparing none, coming like a flood, right? That's all part of that wind also, man, because the wind just represents destruction, period. You see, so it's a spiritual, very spiritual thing that the word Susan came up, right? And that's what made me think more that it was just orchestrated by Esau, because Esau loved playing with numerology and words, right? That it actually means the wind from the west. What was the other one? It was the wind from the west. Oh, and the wind that blows from the west. The west wind and the wind that blows from the west. Yeah. So the wind that's gonna destroy, all right, Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great is in the west. You know, so it's all spiritual, man. So I'm gonna leave it with this. Let's grab this. All right, Ezekiel. Jeremiah. Salakia. Jeremiah 30:4. And it reads, and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. But thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man does travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Yeah, so, you know, this can intensify even more if these other states start getting the same action, you know, cyber attacks hitting them, right? Major cities getting cyber attacked, because that's pretty much what they're trying to tell you, right? That eventually these other states are going to get cyber attacked, EMP'd, whatever you want to call it. All right, they're just using these little towns, right, that nobody fucking knows about, to give you the warning, basically, okay, which is really Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah giving you the warning, man. All right, so this can turn into Jacob's trouble real quick. All right, let's grab this, and I end it off with this. This is 2nd Ezra 14:16, and it reads, matter of fact, let's take it from 14:16. Let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. Yeah, put off the weak nature, meaning, you know, stop, you know, being conformed to this world. Okay, you know, what's the word I want to say? Disattach, you know, yourself from this place. All right, because here in Babylon the Great, all it does is pushes a weak nature. You know, it makes you weak to think in the ways of Babylon the Great. All right, we have to be strong. All right, as Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah said, man, he looking for men. Okay, scriptures talk about let me grab this real quick. This is 2 Timothy 2:3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Yeah, to be a soldier, man, you gotta be ready for all things, man. All right, you gotta be it says endure all hardness. Yeah, you gotta be a hard brother. You know, you gotta be able to take anything that comes your way. You know, so the Lord not looking for somebody that's on that soft side, man. All right, so you want to put away that weak nature. It says, set aside the thoughts that are most heavy onto you, back to 2nd Ezra 14:15, that are heavy onto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. Yeah, because the Lord said, cast thy burdens upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you. So the Lord is what's going to sustain you at the end of the day, man. All right. It says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more evils increase upon them that dwell therein. You see, so evils is going to continually keep increasing, man. All right, greater evils than what we have seen in the past lives and this life. All right, they just going to get worse and worse and worse, you know, and they're going to be unbearable to the people. All right, they're going to be bearable for us, because the Lord talks about how through the same temptations he makes it for you to be able to handle it and to bear it, you know, to get out of these situations, you know, because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah is with us fighting, you know. But for the rest of the world, man, they're not going to be able to bear these things, man. You know, these things they're going to fold up like a piece of lasagna when these things, you know, start playing out. You know, even the mighty men are going to weep bitterly, as the scriptures say, man. The mighty men going to become bitches in those days, man. You see? So, you know, we have to put off that weak nature, because we know that evil times are about to come upon us, right? Be circumspect, redeeming the times, because the days are evil. All right. So, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to update on that, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Be prepared for anything. Be prepared for more cyber attacks. All right. And more blames on Iran. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see what it comes out of it. You just got to keep watching every day, as the scriptures require us to do. All right. And stand upon that watch, as the scriptures say. All right. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. You sisters continue to learn in silence, watching the true men of the Lord. All right, and stay prayed up. All right, that we, that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai keep us in the spirit of, having mercy. All right, in these last days. All right, in the time of his destruction, in the time of his, his destroying wind, when he comes like a flood. All right, to destroy these damn wicked ass elites, to these wicked ass 2/3. All right, the Lord about to bring a whole lot of calamities upon these people, man. These people are not going to be able to hang. All right, they're not going to be. How does Nas say that your arm's too short to box with God? Yeah, they're not going to be able to box with the Lord in them days, man. All right, the Lord going to come with some true power. All right, to show you, all right, that he is the one. All right, and there is no other God beside him. All right, so we're prepared, all right, to see what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai brings upon this place. All right, so Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah.